Good morning and afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to our webinar today, Enhancing Compliance Efficiency with Mineral HR in Dovetail HR Case Management. I'm Kane Frisbee, and I'm your host today, and I'll be joined by Andrew Payne, our resident Mineral HR expert, as we embark on a journey to explore the sophisticated capabilities of Mineral HR. Before we dive into today's webinar, let's take a moment to highlight the innovative solutions offered by Dovetail Software. As a leading provider of HR service delivery software, Dovetail is dedicated to empowering HR teams with tools designed to streamline processes and enhance efficiency. Our comprehensive platform includes a range of powerful features such as HR case management, employee relations case management, our employee portal, the Dovetail HR Copilot, HR knowledge management, and HR reporting and analytics. These tools are meticulously crafted to meet the diverse needs of HR professionals in today's fast-paced business environment. By leveraging Dovetail's cutting-edge technology, HR teams can elevate their HR service delivery, ensuring seamless communication, efficient issue resolution, and informed decision-making. With Dovetail, organizations can stay ahead of the curve, adapting to the ever-evolving landscape of modern HR functions. Now, armed with this understanding of Dovetail's commitment to innovation and excellence, let's proceed to our main event. Joining us today is Andrew Payne, a distinguished figure in the field of HR software implementation and consulting. With several years of experience in driving successful deployments, Andrew serves as a customer implementation and consulting specialist here at Dovetail Software. Andrew's extensive background also spans over 7 years of hands-on experience with Mineral HR, making him uniquely qualified to provide valuable insight on today's webinar topic. His wealth of knowledge ensures that our clients receive expert guidance in optimizing compliance practices and enhancing HR operations. Without further ado, let's welcome Andrew as he leads us through the enlightening discussion. Andrew, over to you.
All right, hello everyone. It's great to be here with you today. As mentioned before, I am working here at Dovetail with our excellent team. Previously, I did work at Mineral HR, so I do have a lot of hands-on experience here. And what we're going to do is highlight 5 key features of the platform, and this is a platform you can receive with Dovetail. So going through at the top here, we're going to start with Mineral HR Compliance. This is where you can connect with a team of legal and HR experts for personalized guidance. We'll move on to HR Tools, and this ranges from key compliance dates and checklists to customizable job descriptions and toolkits. Moving on, we'll hit the Law Library that comes with law alerts, and this is how you can stay informed with access to current employment law information and real-time compliance updates. We'll move on to the Smart Employee Handbook, where you can craft a comprehensive handbook for federal and state compliance, and that includes policy alerts and some e-signature tools. And then finally, we'll wrap up with Learn, which is the LMS included in the platform. And as it says, this is integrated e-learning to easily assign training and engage your employees on a range of topics. Now from here, what I'm going to do is actually just move into a live demo of that platform. So I'll share my screen. Okay, so we have the Mineral platform up on the screen here. Hopefully you can all see that okay. So what we're going to do is start with the Mineral experts, and this is where you can receive real-time consulting from a team of HR and legal experts. And the team over there has an average of over 18 years of experience per member. So as you can see on the screen here, this is the dashboard. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit, and contacting the experts to receive compliance guidance is all under this banner called Contact Experts right here. A couple different ways to get in touch. There is a live phone number that you can call. You can see the hours up on the screen right over here. The other thing you can do is select a type of help that you need and then just submit a question in writing. This will create a case in the platform and you can communicate that way. I think a good thing to do at this point would be to highlight, some of the types of topics that the Mineral experts frequently help with. This is not a comprehensive list, but I think these are some of the popular ones. So just moving down here, we have conflict resolution, leave of absence, wage and hour, performance management issues, worker classification, workers' compensation, employee relations, the entire employee life cycle from hiring to termination, um, safety and health, and last but not least, at all workplace harassment. It's very simple to go ahead and get the advice you need by submitting the question here. I'll just give a short demo. You select the type of help that you need. You can choose between these two options. And then it'll further, narrow it down just so you can get the help that you need as quick as possible. We'll go ahead and select advice. And you can see it'll have a description pop up here down at the bottom. The cool thing about this is that also if you are operating out of more than one state, you can also select specifically the state that you need help with an employee issue, which will help you get those answers faster. Once you've submitted a question to the HR experts, you'll also be able to track that. So if I scroll down the page here, you will see a list of all cases that you've created within the platform. This also includes technical support. So any HR advice you've gotten or technical support within the platform, you'll have an entire history right here at your fingertips. Okay, so next we're going to move on into the variety of HR tools that you can use yourself to either educate yourself on an HR topic or get help right away. Okay. So the tools you can access from this menu bar right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. And you'll see this dashboard of the HR tools up on the screen. Going through, you'll see there's a salary comparison tool. It's an integrated widget from salary.com, and I'll actually go through that in a second. There's also a job description builder, benefits document creator, a minimum wage map, and a calculator. I'm going to go ahead and look at the salary comparison tool just so we can see what that looks like in real time. So if we click compare salaries, and you can see you can explore pay scales by role, and we'll click get started. All right, so what we'll do here is enter a job title. We'll just say customer service, and then we'll choose a location. I'll just choose my hometown, Portland, Oregon, and then we'll click on search. And you can see down here, it'll have the different categories of search results for this job title that I selected. We'll go ahead and just click on the top result here, customer service supervisor. It'll have a description up on the screen to make sure that this is the job title that you really want to find the information for. And we'll click view salary info. And here's where we get that range of data that'll talk about the benefits for this role. The first tab, just by default, is the salary. So you'll see the median salary here and then the outliers. Clicking through, we can see a salary plus bonus, a benefits breakdown. This kind of gives you the total compensation package. All right, I'm going to head back to the HR tools and we'll look at the job description builder. So if we click create a job description, and this pulls standard language for job descriptions from the federal ONET database. So what we're going to do is search for that same job title. And we'll see that we'll find hits in this drop-down menu here. So we'll just click on the top one. All right, and we'll see it pulled up this client service representative. And it gives a job description here, again, just to make sure that you've selected the one that you want. And we'll click select job description. And from here, what this does is bring up a lot of fillable fields. So this is how it'll take the language, the standard language that it has from the job description builder, and you can customize it right here. Over here on the left, you can see where you can skip through the different sections, and it will say that there are required fields, and it's actually asking me to go ahead and do that before. So we'll just say, we'll type that in there and hit next. And some of this will automatically be filled in. For example, your company name existing in the system will automatically be filled in here. Same thing with your department name. And as you can see here, I won't go through the whole thing, but you'll be able to customize the job description to your liking. You'll also be able to save it, so you can come back to it later. You can also download it as a Word or PDF, and you can also save your progress here if you need to come back to it later. So it's very flexible. Now, I myself am not a benefits expert, but there is a benefits document creator. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because, like I said, I'm not an expert on that one, but just know that it is here and it is a powerful tool. And if you're needing help with it, you can combine this tool with contacting the mineral experts, and they would be happy to help you guide you through that process. Moving on to the minimum wage map, this, like it says, pulls up a map, and you can see, based on the color scheme here, a quick view of what minimum wage is across the country. And you can also hover over each state to see what the federal minimum wage is. And then finally, we have calculators. There are a number of calculators. We can see there is a cost per hire, employee turnover, absenteeism, overtime, and then a few related to the Affordable Care Act. We have an ACA full-time equivalent calculator and an ACA safe harbor calculator. Now, some of the other HR tool content will be under the other drop-down menus here up at the top. For example, under HR compliance, you can see that there is a compliance dashboard along with compliance insights, a compliance calendar. That's a good one to give an example on. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And you can see this brings up a quick view of the year and any key compliance dates that you need to be aware of. So for example, back in February, there's a deadline for posting an OSHA Form 300A. Several other forms here, a filing deadline, a disclosure deadline. And this lets you keep on top of those compliance dates without having to keep them all up in your brain. Another key tool that I want to highlight is this templates. This is a large group of downloadable documents that will help you manage your employee relations. So for example, if I click on forms right here, all of these links you'll be able to click on, download that template, edit it on your own, use it however you need to. When you click on any of the links under the templates, you'll see over here on the left there is a large number of filters. So what it does is it takes the information in your profile and will automatically filter this list based on the information so that you're only seeing things that are relevant to you immediately. Cuts down on a lot of search time. However, if you'd like to, you can go ahead and expand that. So for example, if you don't have a state listed in your profile, but you want to see that information, you can use these filters to quickly bring that up to the front. Same thing with employee count. I know this is commonly known, but there are certain number of employees where it will change the employment laws that will affect you. So for example, once you hit 50 employees, there are new employment laws that will start to affect you. So if you want to narrow that information down so that you don't see that, if you're a smaller workplace, you can go ahead and click on one of those. But I know for a lot of folks, you're going to be at larger companies, so you'll be able to hit just like the 100 plus employees button, and you will only see information that is relevant to those larger workplaces. All right, so that was a brief look at some of the HR tools that are available in the platform, and it ranges from those interactive widgets to downloadable forms and documents. So next, what we're going to do is move on to one of the most popular tools that comes with the platform, and that is the law library, including live law alerts. So to access the law library, this will be under the HR compliance tab up at the top, and we'll click on laws. All right, so this is going to be all federal and state laws that will apply to your workplace. It's a large document library that has been maintained, updated over years, based on the guidance from the experts that are working on the mineral experts team. Again, you'll see those filters over here. It will filter out any laws that do not apply to you. So if you are operating out of just Florida, you will not see any other states' laws appear in this list automatically. Some of these are federal laws that will apply to everyone, so you will see those up top. So for example, if I click on under the benefits section, ACA, getting started on requirements for employers, you can see what this law information looks like. One of the really nice things about the platform is that the mineral experts take the law itself and they simplify it down into really everyday language so that you do not need to be a legal expert in order to interpret it. It's very much, it's readable and it's digestible. Over here, you can see there's several tools that you can take advantage of. For example, you can add a piece of content to your favorites, and this will appear on the home screen for you to easily access. You can print, download, or copy link to this page. So the other key component here, and I think this is what people get the most use out of, is the law alerts. And this is how you can stay on top of any changes that are coming to the workplace that might affect you in real time. So you can view a feed of law alerts by clicking on that link here in the dropdown. And you can see they're ordered by date. And the cool thing here is you can see the important date. So for example, this might be when this particular law takes effect. So you know when you need to actually start making some changes or update a workplace practice. If we click on view content, again, this is this write-up of this law alert is curated by the mineral experts, so it's very readable. Now, you might think, well, a law alert, not super helpful if I have to log into the platform to view it every time, but this comes with a subscription to the Mineral platform. They will email you those law alerts based on the states that you have listed in your company profile. So you will automatically start receiving those law alerts if you are signed up for the platform. They are published as a firm law change is announced. So if there's any speculation, they won't send out a law alert. You know, if it's just discussion, you won't see anything. But once a law has actually been set down in stone to be launched on a specific date, you will see that email hit your inbox. And those mineral experts are constantly combing the news and other repositories, that contain that kind of information to deliver that to you. Another question that we get, well, what if I want to receive law alerts for states that are not in my profile? You can do that by editing your profile. And don't want to get too deep into this, but I'll show you very quickly. If we scroll down, you can choose which HR communications you want to receive by email, including the law alerts, and you can customize those for each individual state. All right, we're going to head back to the home page. Moving right along here, the next thing we're going to look at is the Smart Employee Handbook. This is a really cool interactive tool. It's actually a handbook builder, and it comes with real-time policy alerts that can reach you by email as well. One of the pain points, the biggest pain points for employers is maintaining a handbook. It can be a pretty unwieldy document. If there are law changes that affect you, it's quite a tedious process to get that handbook updated, combing through the entire thing to make sure that it is still compliant. And that uncertainty regarding compliance in a handbook, when I worked at Mineral, that was one of the probably top 5, maybe even top 3 questions that we received on our team was, is my handbook compliant? So this tool really takes the guesswork out of it. So if I go up to the company policies and I'll click on handbooks, this will bring you to a handbook library. So there's no limit on the amount of handbooks you can create. As you can see, I have a few in here that are kind of demo or test handbooks. And so you can maintain a library of different handbooks if you'd like to have one, for example, for a certain level of employees in supervisor roles and a different handbook for other employees that are not in supervisor roles. That's viable. You could also have an individual handbook for each state that you operate out of. It's really up to you, or you can have one master handbook that's all consolidated into one. So this is the handbook library. I'm actually going to come back to this page later. What I'm going to do is actually just show you the process of creating a new handbook. So if we go up to this create, you can see that you can either create a new handbook or create a new custom policy. We'll get back to that custom policy later. But what we're going to do first is click on the new handbook. Okay, so this brings up the handbook information screen. Mineral maintains a library of pre-written handbook policies, that apply to both federal and each state. Those are reviewed by a team of legal experts that they hire, so you know that they're always compliant. And so how this works on this handbook information screen is it allows you to quickly customize the handbook for your specific workplace. So first thing we do is type in a handbook name. I'm just going to call this Dovetail Test Webinar Handbook. You can choose the handbook type over here. You can click between federal only if you want to just have federal policies, nothing state specific, or you can choose federal plus states. We're going to leave it on federal plus states for now. Next, we'll move on to your company information, and whatever you place in these fields will auto-populate throughout the handbook to replace some of the generic text that they have so that all of the policies are custom for your team. So it'll have the company name. This will autofill from your profile, but if you want to have, a DBA or something like that, you could change this. We'll just call it Dovetail. You can change how your company is referred to throughout the handbook. So if you have something industry specific, like an agency or a credit union even, you can select that. We'll just leave it as company for now. You will choose the head of the company. We'll just put myself in there for now. And then under primary contact, this will be the department or specific person that your employees should go to if they have questions about the handbook. Normally, this will be your HR department or maybe people ops, something like that. For now, we're just going to leave that as HR. We can also select this box to have it auto-translated into Spanish for the handbook once you download it. So that'll be another option. Moving over here, you can also select a company logo. You can upload a logo if you would like to have that appear on the cover page for the handbook, just a nice personalization option. You can also choose how employees are referred to. Again, this is kind of an industry specific thing, but I could choose team members. And then the head of the company title, we'll just put CEO in there. And then what our managers or supervisors referred to. Again, you can put anything you want in this field. We're going to leave it as a manager. Okay, a couple final steps here before it actually generates the handbook. What you can do is choose a state, and this will add those state-specific policies to the handbook. So if we wanted New York, I can just type that in there, click on New York, and click Add State. Next thing we'll do is choose the number of employees that we have in that state. Now the cool thing here is if you have a state with an employee count listed in your profile and you select that state here, it will automatically add those number of employees. Now I don't have New York in my profile, so it doesn't have that automatically, but we'll just put a number in there. Okay. Next thing what we will do is go to, over here on the right, this panel, what we can do is either save the handbook and exit. So if you don't want to review the policies, you're not ready to do that work, you can save your handbook for later. But what we're going to do is click Save and Review Policies, and this will take us to the table of contents. Last thing to note here, and this is really important, and it's checked on by default, which is good because you want to leave this on, is the subscribe to email alerts for this handbook. And as you can see here, this is key text. Be notified when policy language changes and updates to this handbook are recommended. And when it says recommended, that could include a law change that will affect your handbook or an HR best practices update. So we'll see what that looks like later on. I'll kind of explain the difference there. So I'll click Save and Review Policies, and this will take us to the table of contents for the handbook. Before we dive into the policies themselves, there's a key over here that I want to talk about, and I'll also talk about the page layout in general. So what we can see up at the top are what are called the core policies. These are general HR best practice policies that Mineral has included in this standard template, and it also includes any federal policies that would apply to all of your employees, no matter where they're located. And then scrolling down, we can also see we have specific New York policies. And finally, we have custom policies. So, we have all these standard, Mineral has all these standard policies that they have that are reviewed by legal experts that will be automatically included. It doesn't cover every situation. A fun example that I like to use is if you have a dogs in the workplace policy. Maybe there's a day where your employees can bring their pets in, something like that. that would not be automatically included. So if you want to create your own policies to include something like that that's very specific to you, you can go ahead and include that in the handbook. And as we can see here, I have a custom policy that I have set to automatically be included in any handbook that I create, so it does show up here. Now, what we can do to organize this handbook the way that we want is click on the reorder button. From here, it's really easy. You can just click and drag. So if you want to reorder things, if you want to expand one of these policy sections and change the order that it appears within that, you can do that. I can also move this custom policy to any of the sections that are already included in the handbook. So if you want it to be more integrated and not stand out, what I can do is move this to the welcome section. And as we can see here, it'll just let us know that any custom policies that have been created have been assigned to the sections in the table of contents. What we'll do is click Save up at the top so we can get back to our list of policies. And we'll go ahead and expand here. And we can see that now that test policy lives up here at the top. As we're scrolling through these, you can see that there is a key for different types of policies. And there is, up at the top here, what you can see is that there are required policies. Those are marked with the star. Those are required by federal law to include in your handbook, federal or state law. So those are policies that really need to be included for it to be compliant. You can also see there are optional policies. What that means is policies that might be required, but are generally not required by every workplace. So for example, this is a good one. You can see this is a policy for federal contractors. Not really going to apply to everyone. So those are optional policies. You also see custom policies, any ones that you created. And then finally, best practice policies. Those are included by default. They are generally considered to be best practice in order for you to stay compliant and also avoid any potential issues that you might have with your employees. You know, clear language that makes the expectations obvious to both parties. Now, even though that some of these are required by federal or state law, does not mean that you have to include them in your handbook. So over here on the right, you can see these toggles. Toggling this off will make it so that when you download the handbook, that policy will be invisible. It will not be included in the handbook. This is really nice. So for example, you know, accommodations for pregnant employees that is required by law to include in the handbook. Maybe you have your own custom policy that includes the pertinent information to stay compliant, and you don't really need this particular template. You can just turn that off and it will not appear in the handbook. So even though it is required by law, the system isn't going to force you to download it. And you can turn any of these policies off. All right, the next thing that we can do though is go into a specific policy. So we'll click on that link and you will see a policy description. It'll just talk about what is the purpose of this policy in the handbook, which is nice. So you have an idea of why it's even here. Including if it is required by law, it'll make that very clear. However, from here, you are free to edit this policy as much as you want. This is a free text editor. You will see that these terms under the brackets, these will be replaced by the information that we filled out way back in that handbook information page at the beginning of walking through this process. So you don't want to mess with anything in the double brackets because that's going to get replaced by your own personalization information. All right, any changes that you make, you can go ahead and click Save. You could also turn this policy off if you wanted to get more information on it before you did that. You can also click Preview, and this will show you what it looks like with that customization information already filled in, any formatting changes that you've made, so you can get a good idea of what it will look like in the downloaded product before you go through that. You know, if you have made changes, maybe if you've erased the entire thing, for example, maybe by accident, and you want to get that information back, what you can do is click Default Policy. And this will bring up the original language that Mineral has for that template, and you can click Restore to Default. And it'll overwrite any changes that you have made and restore the default language. So it's a nice way if there's any mistakes that you made, or you just want to get back to the original language. All right, so once you've gone through all these policies, you reviewed the information you need to, made the changes you need to, what we can do is go up to this Actions drop-down menu. A lot of options here. First is I could link a custom policy. So if I created one and I didn't already have it attached to this handbook, we could do that. We can go back to the handbook settings if we want to change any of that custom information that we included at the start of the process. And then there's a lot of download options. You can download it as a Word or a PDF. Those are both in the English language options. And then you could also download it, since we checked that box at the beginning to auto-translate into Spanish, we could download that as a Spanish language Word document or a PDF. The other option here, if you have a master handbook and maybe you're operating out of many, many states, and you would like to only get the policies for federal and a single state out of this list, you could click Download Individual State. And then you pick the state that you want to download and then select the download option right here. Now, one of the tools that I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar is that there are also e-signature tools. So you can create your employees within this system. And once you click Send for e-signature, you'll have the option to digitally email this handbook to them, and it will track if they have signed the handbook or not. So it's a nice tool, in order to make sure that all of your employees have read and acknowledged the policies that you need them to, which is very helpful to keep track, so you're not having to manually, reach out to individual people to see if they've signed it or not. Once you've done that, there is a dashboard that you will be able to track who has signed and who has not. So again, nice tool to keep track of those things. Finally, there is an activity stream. So how Mineral is set up is that you have what we call a client admin. You can have multiple client admins per company, and each of those will be able to work on the same handbook library at once. So the nice thing here is that if you have two people maybe working on the handbook, different sections, you can come into this activity stream, which is really basically an audit trail for the handbook, to see who made what changes and when. You can see there's a timeline here. You can see what the action was performed. So you can see that I created this handbook, I rearranged the table of contents, and etc. All right, I'm going to head back to the handbook homepage. And back on this handbook library, what we can see here is the list of all the handbooks we've created. And then these with the red flag, these are policy alerts. So this is how you can keep track of any legislative changes that you need to focus on in order to keep your handbook compliant. And so you don't have to do this by hand. It doesn't have to be done manually. You don't even have to talk to anyone in order to make sure that your handbook is up to date. Really powerful time-saving tool. So what we can see here, if I hover over this, it'll show you on this text. It's probably really tiny, so I'll read it out. Policy alerts are present and pending on this handbook. Please accept or dismiss the policy alerts through the table of contents to enable handbook downloading. So key phrase there at the end is that if there is a policy alert on the handbook, the system will prevent you from downloading it until you resolve that policy alert. So what we'll do is click on that. This will take us to the table of contents for the handbook. And as we can see, there's kind of an orange highlighted number over here, and that's the number of policies within this section that have an alert on them. So this attendance policy, we'll click on policy alert over on the right. Okay, and they make it very clear what the policy alert is with this gigantic warning up at the top here. Policy may not be modified until you accept or dismiss this alert. Now it'll tell you what the language alert is for, and also history if any previous alerts have been made on this specific policy. So we can see that January 18, 2024, this policy has been updated to provide more detail and include language pertaining to job abandonment. So we can see here, it'll have the previous policy language and then updated policy language, so you can view the difference. I can also click on View Text Difference if I want to make that a little more obvious what the difference is. And you can see that there's a lot of added language here over on the right. Now, what you'll need to do from here, after you've reviewed the changes to the policy, is either accept policy changes, and this will replace your current policy language with the policy language provided in the alert, or you can dismiss. So even if it is mandated by law policy update, if you have a custom policy, for example, that already includes that information, you can click Dismiss Alert, and then you can proceed to download the handbook. So it doesn't force you to make those updated language changes. It just strongly recommends it. So in this case, we'll go ahead and we'll accept those policy changes. And now we can see that that alert has been dismissed. And just as an example up here at the top, what you can see is that any of the download options have been grayed out until I accept or dismiss those policy changes. And since I didn't accept or dismiss all the policy changes, this red flag will stay there. All right, so that was the Smart Employee Handbook Builder. I know there's a lot of information there. It is a very powerful tool, and I appreciate everyone's patience as we went through that entire process. All right, we're going to wrap up this demo of the Mineral platform by looking at the training tool that they have. It's called Learn, and it's an LMS, integrated e-learning that you can assign trainings and engage your employees on. So what we're going to do is hover over the training dropdown, and we're just going to click Course Catalog. So depending on your subscription to the platform, you may see an entire list of included trainings that you can assign to any employees that you have within the system. You can see there's a variety of different topics. These are courses that you can will either fulfill mandated, for example, harassment requirements for training, or professional development, ongoing training, just benefit of your employees, that sort of thing. I think harassment's a good example. That's quite frequently the training that people are really interested in. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And once we do, we can see this entire catalog of courses that are included with Learn. So we can see there are a couple of Spanish language options, workplace harassment and bullying, managing threats to a respectful work culture, California supervisor and manager anti-harassment training for all employees, California specific. So it is, the nice thing here is that it's both on a federal and state specific level. There's a wide variety of these trainings that you can assign to your employees. And what you can do here is also search by courses. This will just search for keywords that are included. So for example, if I wanted to look for diversity, we can see that there is diversity in the workplace, how managers can address diversity and inclusion with employees, reducing unconscious bias in the workplace, and there's a couple more here as well. If I want to get more information about this, what I can do is go over to the right and click on this little question mark symbol, and it'll bring up a course description. And this will tell you generally what you can expect as you're going through the course. And I think really importantly as well, to manage your time appropriately, is how long the course takes, how long the videos and included quizzes or tests, that are sometimes required for interactive components on those trainings. A couple tabs up here up at the top. So this is the course catalog. You can go through there and just start taking a training on your own. If I head over to my courses, I will also see any courses that have been assigned to me as an employee. So if you have yourself, might have had some trainings assigned to you, or one of your employees logging in, this is the view that they would see of any courses that they are required to take. And you'll see the start date, that's the date that the course was assigned to them. You also see a due date, and that's the date that's been assigned for them to finish the training. Under this complete date, you'll see if you've already completed that course, you'll see the date that you finished it up. Now, how to assign training. That'll be under this dashboard menu right here. So what you'll see here is what Mineral calls tracks. And a track is a grouping of one or more courses that you can assign to one or more employees at once. So instead of having to click on a course and then select an employee to send it to, and then going back and repeating that entire process again, you can have a series of courses that you can group together in a track and then assign to multiple employees at once. Saves you a lot of time. So what we'll do here, just to keep this simple, is I'll go up to Actions, and I'll click Create New Track. And I'll try to keep this as brief and straightforward as possible. But what you'll do is enter a track name, webinar track, and then you can go through the entire course catalog. We'll just go to Compliance, keep it generic, and we'll click on a couple of these. And you can see it'll add those courses to this track over here. You'll also see a brief timeline that we'll be able to edit later down, so this is not locked in stone. So what we'll do is click Continue over here on the right. And then I'll be able to select the employees that exist in the system that I want to assign this training to. Just assign it to myself to keep it simple. But you can select all of them at once. So if you have, a generic HR course about maybe an attendance policy in the workplace, something like that, you can assign it to everyone at once. But for now, we'll just keep it on me. Then we'll click continue. Okay, I really like this page. This is where you can customize the email reminders that your individual employees will receive about this course. What I like to do is turn them all on. I don't think that too many reminders is a thing that even exists. I think it really helps people. Sometimes training can be at the, kind of the bottom of your priorities, even if it really shouldn't be. And I think these reminders are very helpful. So the ones that are on by default, however, are a welcome note, and this will just let you know that, hey, you've been assigned training. So it's kind of the intro to that task that you need to perform. And then there is also a last day reminder. This one is locked in. You cannot actually turn that off, or at least I cannot. And that is a last day reminder. So on the due today date, it'll send a final email to say, hey, your training is due today. But you can also turn on a last month reminder and a last week reminder. I like to just keep those on. You can also preview the reminder if you want to take a look at exactly what your employees will be receiving. This is the email that they'll get. They'll see the course names that they need to take, start date and end date. You can also customize the welcome note that they receive, and it will add, as it says, an optional customized introductory paragraph to the email your users will receive when they are assigned this track. And if I click on preview the entire welcome note, if you added a custom message, you'll see it appear at the top. And if not, which you don't have to, I think the language that is already included is pretty good as is, and it'll just show you the courses you've been assigned. Okay, since it's me though, I don't need to have those reminders on, so I'm just gonna click Save Track. This will take us back to the dashboard, and as we can see now, this new track, the webinar track, has been applied. If I expand it, we can see who created it, the company, and also underneath here, the users that have been assigned this training. All right. Thank you all for your time today walking through this platform. Appreciate everyone's time on this. This has been a look at the Mineral platform. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Okay, just a reminder of everything we talked about. I know there's a lot of information. We talked about Mineral HR compliance, and this was connecting with a team of HR experts for personalized guidance, and that exists throughout the entire platform. HR tools, we looked at those compliance dates, customizable job descriptions and toolkits. We looked at the law alerts that are published in real time that you can get emailed to you so you can stay on top of those topics. We moved on to the Smart Employee Handbook. We created a comprehensive handbook that included federal and state compliance. We looked at the policy alerts and the e-signature tools. And then finally, we just took a look at Learn, the Mineral LMS, where you can assign training and engage your employees. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Andrew. Now we'll move into a short Q&A session. So if anyone has any questions, please post them into the Q&A section in Zoom. I do have a couple that have come through directly to me. So one of those questions, Andrew, is the first one is there a limit on the amount of questions you can ask the mineral experts?
That's a great question. And the great news is that no, there is not. I know from my time when I worked at Mineral, we had what we called power users that were getting in touch with us on a weekly or sometimes even daily basis. And there really is no limit on the amount of times you can get in touch or receive guidance from those HR experts.
Excellent. Next one here. How long does it take to get an answer back from the Mineral experts?
Yeah, and I should apologize. This is information I probably should have covered, but they have a 1 business day guarantee on getting back to you with HR advice. So over the weekend, you might see a little bit longer turnaround time. But I know the average time on getting an answer back when I worked there was around 6 hours. So it's a very quick turnaround time for maybe even a complicated HR situation.
Excellent. How often are the law alerts sent out?
Yeah, I think I might have touched on this briefly, but they are published as information is concrete and made known to them. So basically, when it says real time, The mineral experts do a lot of work researching, legal situations or possible legislative changes. So they usually have something written up and ready to go, but it's not published until the moment that law alert is actually announced, like a specific date, for example. So if it's just speculative, they won't publish any law alerts. But once it's set in stone, that's when they're published.
Excellent. Thank you. So as we come to the close of today's webinar, I wanted to extend my sincere gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Andrew, sharing his expertise and insights on enhancing compliance efficiency with Mineral HR in the Dovetail HR platform. Andrew, your wealth of knowledge has undoubtedly enriched our understanding of this critical topic. We're grateful for your valuable contributions. Thank you. I also want to thank each and every one of you of our attendees for your active participation and engagement through this session. Your thoughtful questions and comments have added immense value to our discussion, and we truly appreciate your time and commitment. Before we part ways, I encourage you to explore further how Dovetail's HR service delivery software solutions can revolutionize your organization's HR processes. Whether it's optimizing HR case management, empowering employees through self-service portals, or harnessing the power of analytics for informed decision-making. Dovetail is here to support you every step of the way. There's a couple of webinars that we recently did on the screen right now, and we'll send you these links to all those that have registered for this. The first one here is a case study that we did with Danone, one of our customers, and a lady called Crystal Carter. And the second one here is a demo that I performed a couple of weeks ago in the last webinar. If you have any additional questions about what you've learned today or for Dovetail software, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're always here to assist you. Once again, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to continuing this journey together and helping you unlock the full potential of your HR operations with Dovetail software. The next webinar is going to be in 4 weeks' time, where we'll run through a full demo of the Dovetail HR platform. Thank you. Until next time, goodbye and have a great workday.